Welcome to A Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm Sarah Masoni from Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center, where I've helped countless dreamers launch their new food products. It's the science of taking a food delight from the kitchen to mass manufacturing and still keeping its great taste. That's what I do. I've been called the woman with the $1 million palate, although I haven't tried to cash that check yet. Listen in weekly for real-life stories.
I'm Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Haute Sauce and author of Preservation Pantry, modern canning from root to top and stem to core. I love inspiring business owners to get started on their journey, encourage folks to be part of their local community, and I'm excited to help business owners tell their stories. Hello and welcome to the Meaningful Marketplace. We are here weekly to discuss the journeys of food entrepreneurs. We are glad you've joined us today as we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. This is Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Haute Sauce. Sarah Masoni may join us later, or she may not. We'll see. We were out for holiday break. This is our first recording back for the year, and we're excited to highlight women businesses from all over the country. So we have an exciting show for you today. I would like to introduce you to Meredith. She is the founder and CEO of the original Southside Making Gin Cocktails. We're delighted to have you on the show today. Meredith, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
We always like to connect listeners to you on social media and on the web. So tell us how listeners can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me personally on Instagram under the username Meredith Mills-Merritt, and you can find my company under the tag Drink Southsides with an S. We're on Instagram. We also have a TikTok account.
Perfect. And we'll make sure to link those in the bio. And I did just get a message from Sarah. She is going to join us in a few minutes, so we'll hear from her soon. But we'll just keep going until she joins us. So we always like to start at the beginning of your business. What inspired you to start the original Southside? Why don't you tell us the Southside story?
Yes. So I will say, I feel like I have always had this entrepreneurial fire in my brain, and I didn't really know what to do with it or where to place the energy. And it wasn't until I fell into my first job, which was in the brand management area of consumer goods, specifically in the prestige beauty space, that I understood where I could channel that energy. At the time, I was working on both brand and product innovation, and I fell in love with the concept to launch and everything in between. I loved coming up with new product ideas. I loved looking at the market data. I loved the packaging, the photo shoots, everything. It was just so much fun for my brain. So when COVID hit and I was deep on a teenage acne team, I wanted something to do with that time in my idle brain. So figuring out what I wanted to do, knowing that beauty at the time was really saturated. There were a lot of competitors. It's not something that I felt that I could be strong in. I started to think of some other ideas. And as we all know, during COVID, everybody really liked to drink here and there. And I thought to myself, I have a pretty good family recipe. I wonder why no one has put something like this in a can. And so from there, we started to do the market research on what the ready to drink category would look like. And this was back in 2021. So we saw some things that were really encouraging. Most importantly, that gin was kind of primed and ready for a renaissance with US consumers. And my family recipe had always been gin-based. So we had that going for us. And we also saw that the growth of canned cocktails was not going to slow down, which has been the case. So using those two things, I was introduced to a company that could commercialize my family recipe. And it was really off to the races from there. We did about 12 to 13 months of back and forth with lab samplings. And once I had that final approval formula, I went out to my friends. Not many people knew I was doing this. I kept it a secret. So only my husband and my parents knew, not even my brothers at the time. So I sat everybody down and said, hey, I've been working on this. What do you think? Does it taste good? And everybody loved it, was even open to giving me some money, which was crazy, and just kind of launched it based on the hypotheses that we had created a little earlier. And I'm really happy to see that those have actually ended up paying off.
It's always nice to have the love and support of your family, of course. I think those are always our first initial supporters, which is really great. It's cool to hear that your background is, beauty and fashion. I was wondering because as soon as I saw your website, I was like, everything looks like a fashion ad. It's like so well put together and so awesome. I was wondering if that was your background, but there was no way of me to know that until I talked to you. So it makes so much sense that that is what your background was in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you can tell. Everything looks great.
I'll take it. That's a huge compliment. So thank you.
And let's talk about what is actually in the can. So for our listeners, let's describe what the product looks like and then what it tastes like, the experience.
Yes. So we are a South Side. And for those of you who are less familiar with the South Side, it was because in the 1920s, this recipe got a little lost in time and wasn't as competitive as some of the other cocktails that came out of that era. You can think like Tom Collins, a martini, some of those. So what a South Side is it's gin, lemon juice, and a little bit of mint. So very similar to a Tom Collins, just adding some mint. For us and our purposes, we use a proprietary compound gin. So the gin is actually our own. We spent a lot of time on the botanical profile because I know a lot of people have some hesitancies about super juniper forward gins. We are also certified organic, which was important to me. We are all natural, so that means we don't have any artificial colors, artificial preservatives, or artificial flavors. We even for the flavors that we use, they're organic, compliant, natural flavors that we really drilled down into to make sure they didn't have anything suspicious or hiding in there, like non-organic sugars, propylene glycol, maltodextrin, you name it. We also what kind of sets us apart in addition to all of that is we do have a higher alcohol by volume percentage. So each can of ours is 10% ABV, and we use real cane sugar as our sweetener. So I wanted to kind of deliver all of the cocktail with none of the compromise. That's really what we say on a wide scale. So really trying to simplify a complex, saturated category with a more transparent, premium gin-based product.
Very cool. You mentioned that you are certified organic, and a lot of our listeners are other food and beverage people. So, what is the process like to get your beverage certified to be organic?
So the contract manufacturing facility, first and foremost, has to also have its organic certification. And then in addition, you also have to have the supplier. So someone like myself has to have organic certification. So for the first couple runs, our facility was certified organic, and then we were applying at the same time. In the interim, because we were a sub brand of that facility, we were able to use their organic certification, but we've actually transferred ownership of that over to us and are in the process of having our entire company be certified organic to kind of double down there.
Very cool. Sarah Masoni just joined us. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're here.
I was stuck in the line at the grocery store.
Well, I would like to introduce you to Meredith. She is the founder and a CEO of the original Southside, and she was just telling us about what it was like to get her organic certification for her cocktail line. And I was just about to ask her about her bottling line for her canned cocktails. So will you tell us, Meredith, do you have to have your own bottling line, or do you use a specific facility to bottle your cocktails, or what is that process like?
Yes. So we use a contract manufacturer, but we have to follow kind of 3 rules for this product in particular. The first is kind of to the earlier point, talking about the organic certification. Want to make sure that the facility itself is certified organic so that we can be compliant and continue to have that. The second is because we use all natural ingredients, the only, preservative is citric acid, which is an organic compound. And so the magic that happens between citric acid and a tunnel pasteurizer to keep it really safe on the shelf, because we have a large juice concentration, is not something I can go super deep into the weeds with you on in terms of the science, but that tunnel pasteurizer is a very expensive machine. And so that also kind of limits the number of facilities that you can work with that have the capability to do that. Some can flash pasteurize, but that was not enough for my, mental safety blanket in terms of what I wanted to do and how I wanted this product to sit on shelf. And then the third is balancing all of that with the minimum order quantities, because beverage is so competitive and so specific. Some of these larger facilities, we just couldn't meet their MOQs. So it's a fine balance between the tunnel pasteurizer, the organic certification, and the size of the runs that we're able to do. And those really dictate where we go.
I was checking out your website and I saw that you have something called the Southside Country Club. Can you tell us about that and how people join that if they're interested?
Yes. So if you're familiar with the card game of gin rummy, it kind of started there. My dad grew up in a gin family, both gin drinks and gin rummy, and was making gin cocktails when he was 13 for my great grandma, his grandma, and then playing cards with her. So he passed that down and the love of that to us. And when we got this brand started, we thought it was a really fun kind of play on words, the Southside Gin Club. So the Southside Gin Club evolved into the Southside Country Club, which is just a very experiential place where consumers can go and join said gin club and kind of wander around our clubhouse. So we're very purposefully not online. You'll notice if you do navigate to our Instagram page, it looks a lot like a mood board. And our TikTok, we actually, because we are alcohol, had some issues in terms of videos not showing up for people, not making the For You page. So we decided to put all of our efforts into making our website kind of this main event and main experience. And so the clubhouse is just a really nice piece of that. And it's also how we plan our own personal owned events. So we like to kind of tailor it like you're showing up to a country club wherever you go when you come to some of our events.
Very
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to let you know we played gin at our house and drank gin and tonics too.
It's a good tradition. So
Yeah, I never thought about that.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And if people want to order from you, can you ship out of state? Can they order from your website and get them shipped?
We can, yes. So we're fortunate right now. I believe we ship to around 48 states. So you'll have to just double check your zip code. And then we also have on our website a map if you are in one of our states where we physically distribute. So I always recommend checking that to see what's the closest to you. And that's how you can get your hands on us.
Very cool. I know Oregon always has some kind of our OLCC is kind of tricky. So I don't know if you know offhand if there's any places in Oregon that we can get them, but we'll have to do some deep diving to see
Yes.
if we can find. We'll put a link in the show notes if there's specifically Oregon places that people can find them, because we have a lot of Portland listeners, because I know they'll want to get your product for sure.
Awesome.
Is this I don't know if this is a still cocktail or is it carbonated?
It is slightly sparkling. So I think when you think of canned cocktails, your brain goes to like super, super sparkling. This is actually the lowest level of effervescence that we could do for the formula. And it was very purposeful because I hated feeling like you just had this seltzer belly after drinking some of them. So it won't be as fizzy as I think you think right off the bat, but it ends up still being very refreshing, which is nice.
That sounds really good. I could use one right now.
Same.
Well, I have a fun game for you both to play, because your website gave me all these vibes of like of activities and doing things with friends and kind of creating like a picnic. So I am going to have you both fantasy draft a picnic of what your perfect picnic would be. So you will say who you would want to be there, what you would eat, what you would bring to drink, and where it would be. So each of you will fantasy draft your perfect picnic. I imagine your cocktail would be part of it, but maybe not.
Fabulous.
So Meredith, since you're the guest, you can go first, and Sarah, you can go second. Let's hear your fantasy picnics.
Okay. I am a big charcuterie fan. So there would definitely be charcuterie involved. There would definitely be some fresh berries and whipped cream involved. I feel like that's just such a perfect win in a shareable format. Obviously, for an alcoholic option, South Sides would be there. For a non-alcoholic option, I absolutely love Olipop. So one of the, classic kind of soda flavors of Olipop. In terms of people, I would want my husband and my dog George, who is 10 and toothless. So I would want my husband and George there. And for location, I'm torn between this beautiful place in Montecito that we love to go to, or Carmel. So two California spots for you, because those are kind of the two places where we just really love to be outside and kind of existing in nature.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Sarah?
Well, first thing that came to mind was that I just came out of the Louvre in Paris and I had a picnic bag on my shoulder with a big, beautiful baguette and some chunks of cheese, probably some fresh camembert and some jambon, so some nice French ham.
Yeah, you're
And
such a
I
big
just,
cheese gal too.
yeah, I just walk over to the fountain right out front there and see if I could steal a couple of those green folding chairs and just sit and tear pieces of bread off and put cheese and ham in there and then have some of your sparkling or kind of sparkling Southside gin beverage with me, and probably would have some grapes or some kind of fruit too, and I would just want my family and my friends there with me, and I think I need to go do that.
I
No,
know.
that sounds
I think
awesome.
so.
I'm
I
amending
know.
my answer to also include French butter and French bread. So 100%. Yeah.
That can go on your charcuterie board for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
just
perfect.
simple.
I think both of your picnics sound great. I'm inviting myself to both of them.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, well, Meredith, I always like to know what a typical day is like for you as a business owner. So could you tell us?
Absolutely. Every single day is different, which I'm sure you could have seen that coming from a mile away in terms of my answer. But what I really find is I have a fabulous team that helps me. I used to be a solo show for a really long time because we've been fortunate and able to grow. I do have some fractional help. So I have a COO, I have a head of operations and logistics and supply chain. I have a Southeast consultant who helps with some of our biggest states in terms of, everything from activations to tastings to sales. And then I also have some more regional market people. So week over week, it's a lot of early week check-ins, later week follow-ups. And then because we have grown so much, I find that a lot of my time is just making sure that we're staying on top of the production process. So our longest lead times are our aluminum cans. And it's so funny getting started. When I finished the first die line for our can and for our secondary packaging, I was like, oh, I never have to touch this again. Do you know how many times I've changed the artwork on both of those? Almost every single time. So I'm looking at my list right here, all the check-ins on the new die lines, the cans, the purchase orders, the beverage lawyers, the this, that, or the others. And then you go into the ingredients, and then you go into the logistics of how it gets to the warehouse. So kind of day in and day out, it's little tiny check-ins along the way, as well as we're actively fundraising right now. So that means I'm trying to make sure that people see my emails, hopping on calls, trying to put myself in rooms with people who are also excited about consumer goods, especially alcohol. I like to call alcohol the Bermuda Triangle of fundraising, because you have the vice category, I'd say we're still considered early stage just based on where we are, even though it's a little bit more than that. And then you also have the consumer goods side of things. So some people, aren't as bullish on CPG as, the rest of us. So it's been a fun process. And that's really truly kind of day over day what it looks like. And I feel like I've learned so much in such a short period of time that I'm really grateful for it. And I just kind of, I'm holding on for dear life.
We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to hear about any advice that you have for women that are currently dreaming of a business. So we'll be right back.
Oregon State University's College of Agricultural Sciences and the Food Innovation Center are proud sponsors of Meaningful Marketplace. With a mission to serve all Oregonians, we are committed to giving voice to those whose food and agricultural stories are not always heard. By providing access and opportunity for a more diverse and just food system, because food brings people together.
If you had to give 3 of your top tips for a woman starting up a food business, what would they be, Meredith?
I would say, first and foremost, understand the landscape of where you're trying to go. So I went into the spirits industry with no experience, and my saving grace has been the pre-identified niche that we went into with gin, with higher ABV, with a more premium approach, because it was such a saturated category. So kind of going back to those marketing 101 days, if you're going to go in somewhere saturated, make sure you carve out a space for yourself. So I would say, make sure you understand the space that you are carving out for yourself and how competitive you can be within that space, because it's important and you have to have an edge. And there's so many products out there now that how you break through the noise is going to be really important. The second is, do not fear rejection. It's going to happen to you so many times. And it's happens to everyone in this path. I mean, I was just recently listening to the How I Built This podcast with the founder of Woo, and I really resonated with what he was saying in the fundraising process. And so you're going to get more no's than yeses. And I let it beat me down quite a bit in the beginning. And just knowing that that's coming, I think, is helpful, because you can kind of prepare yourself a little bit better. These were the really first true abject failures that I had faced kind of in my career, because I had done well previously for other companies versus on my own. So I think that's a really important piece. And then the last bit is to just, if you're going into a space like alcohol, so this is kind of a more like directed piece of advice, that some of these industries largely male led. Don't let, I like to say, what happens to Batman affect Bruce Wayne. So don't let what happens to you in some of these boardrooms and meetings and conversations. And I know alcohol isn't, the only one that's largely male dominated. So you can kind of apply this to different fields, but don't let what happens to you in there come home with you in your home life and when you shut the screen, because I let that happen to me for a while. And it was really especially glaring when we were fundraising, and the way that I was spoken to. They don't know my background, they don't know me, they just see a face on a screen, and I am who I am. And so I think those would be my top 3 pieces of advice, because when it's so near and dear to you, and when it is your baby and this is your company, you care 55 times more than somebody else. And I'm always amazed at the audacity of how some people will speak to you. So just, as hard as it is, let it fall off of you, and don't let it affect you outside of the screen that you're on or the room that you're in.
I think that's good advice for sure. I think, coming from the hot sauce world too, I think there's more women in the business now, but definitely not when I started. So I understand what you're talking about. And I do think that you just have to still be who you are and still interact with people as you would, even though they may treat you in a way that you would never talk to someone else or want somebody to be treated, and you still have to keep being you and keep doing things the way that you would do them. So
yeah, absolutely. Like doing what you have to do to go to sleep at night, and know that, when you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. And if you can come out of there, even though it's infuriating and you would love to eviscerate the other person on the other end, I really struggle with that. Like, I'm a very outspoken, transparent, annoying person, honestly. So I think it's fair.
No, my whole career in the food industry has been a battle against some really bad men.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, let's tell people how they can get your product one more time, how they can find you, how they can order it, best way to support you.
Yes, absolutely. Best way to support us is you can head over to our website, which is www.drinksouthsides.com. We have both a map feature and we're available in about 20 plus states right now, but we also will ship online to about 48, I believe. So all you'll have to do is just check your zip code. And right now we are running a special where if you buy 3 4-packs, you'll get free shipping, which is exciting. I don't actually expect that special to go away. I think I'm just going to keep it because shipping is expensive and nobody wants to pay it. So that's the best way you can get your hands on some Southsides.
Perfect. Well, I love what you're doing, Meredith. I love your branding and your packaging and the stories that you're telling visually on your website and on your Instagram. You're doing such a good job. And I love that you put your family recipe in a can and you're bringing it to all the people. So good job. And I'm going to order some right now.
Also, you might want to go to Eugene, Oregon, because you have duck colors.
It's true.
Don't I know it? That's
Yeah.
on the list for sure.
You should be their official cocktail.
Yeah. Just tell them.
I agree.
Yeah.
So watch out for that because that's high on my list. I think it'd be great with the yellow and the green.
Yeah.
Well, Meredith, it was great to meet you today. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm excited to try your product.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a joy to meet you two, and I appreciate you letting me tell my story.
And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Meaningful Marketplace Podcast. Don't forget, you can call or text Sarah and I with questions at 503-395-8858. And we couldn't do this without our fantastic team at Joy of Creation Production House. Thanks to Haley, our audio engineer, and Dave, our production coordinator. We will be back next week. Thanks for joining, everybody. Bye.
Bye for now.
If you love the stories we bring you each week, please consider supporting us on Patreon. As an independent media company, your support is absolutely essential. It allows us to continue creating high-quality professional episodes that amplify the voices of women, small business owners, writers, artists, and creatives, and keep their stories free from commercial pressure. By becoming a Patreon member, you're not just supporting us, you're investing in the future of independent media. Please visit patreon.com/The Joy of Creation Production House to join our community today. Thank you for listening and supporting our podcast dreams.